Big Mike, and Hayes Entertainment here. Today's episode, we got Seth Jarvis and Reece Newkirk from the Portland Winterhawks. Seth Jarvis, NHL Top Prospect for 2020.
If you like what we're doing, you hit that button.
I'm Reece Newkirk. I play in the Portland Winterhawks, and I'm on the I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
I'm Seth Jarvis. I play for the Portland Winterhawks, and I'm on the I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
The number one sports podcast in Vancouver with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
It's a shot from Frederick. That one deflects off an offender. Battered in. Newkirk scores!
Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
On the short side, speared off. Newkirk trying to keep the line. Puck rolls to Jarvis. Seth Jarvis, backhander. He scores!
This is I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. We are going live.
At the end of a power play score.
That was against Schwabius. This is against Ross. He breaks in. Backhand chance, and he roofs it in the back.
Yeah, buddy.
Hello? Hey, guys.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, how are you guys? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Jarvis.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well.
Hey, Reece and Seth, I just want to thank you guys very much for coming on today. We really appreciate you taking your time for us today.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. You know, I texted Jarvis and he was up for it, so.
Awesome. We're just going to ask you a bunch of questions about hockey. So I'm going to start right here. What made you guys get into hockey in the first place?
Jarvis, you can go first, bud.
I think getting into hockey, it was my brother. He's about 6 years older than me, so I grew up in a hockey rink, and that's what kind of boosted me into the whole sport.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, playing hockey as a kid is always something I look forward to. Like when I was young, my parents put me on the ice, and I just loved it from the start. So I started young, but you know, I caught on quick, and it was I'm happy I did it.
Did you guys play any other sports growing up?
Sure.
I played football for 6 or 7 years growing up until hockey got a little bit more time consuming. So that was kind of hockey and football went hand in hand during the year.
So you had to make your decision.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I played like all the school sports, like volleyball and basketball, but I played baseball a lot. But the last couple of years, I kind of, you know, hung up the cleats and just started playing hockey as you know, the primary sport.
This question's for both of you. Do you guys have personal highlight or low light?
Jarvis, you keep going first.
Personal...
Look at each other.
What?
I said you keep going first so we don't look at each other awkward every time.
Okay. A personal highlight for me, I think playing on Reece Newkirk's line when I was 16. That was a big one for me. And then a low light for me would have been I lost in the gold medal game at the Holinka tournament. That sucked.
I think a low for me was definitely like, as Jarvis said, he made it to that Canada team, but like I got cut even from my province, so I've used that as fuel. And then a highlight's obviously going to play in Portland. You know, you play with great guys like Jarvis and Duro and like Ludwig and Hoffer I had this year. Just the guys you meet as you play hockey. So it's definitely a highlight is playing in Portland.
Legit, like 90% of people we ask what their favorite road garden is, they all say Portland.
Yeah, we have the Moda Center. When we play in the Moda Center on the weekends, it gets pretty rowdy in there. Like the basketball, it fills up pretty good.
Yeah, you guys must get a lot of fans out there.
Yeah, especially when we got Seattle too in our home bar. It's packed usually.
Might as well ask you guys, what's your favorite road barn then?
For me, it's probably, I'd say Seattle. I think the way they love giving it to us, especially during the anthem and stuff like that, and that just kind of gets everyone going. So that's Seattle's for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say Seattle too, just like they chant Portland sucks every game. But another one would be Moose Jaw too, probably, just to play at home. I'm sure Jarvis is excited to go home next year and play in front of his friends and family too.
For sure, that must be a unique thing, man. Why do you wear 24, Seth? And why do you wear 12, Reece?
For me, I was a big fan of Kobe Bryant. He just out of hockey completely, but he was someone that I looked up to just for the compete and the competitor he really was. So he is a big reason I wear 24. And plus, when I came up at 15, I just kind of got thrown that number. So I kind of stuck with it, and it's worked for me.
Yeah, you might as well roll with it now.
For me, picking 12, when I was 16, I had number 38, which is the brutal number. So I had to get that off my back. And 12 was open, and I wore 12 in midget. So I had a good year in midget. So I was like, I might as well wear 12 again when I get a chance. And then, and when I was 17, I got a chance to wear 12.
Who do you guys mirror your game after or try and play like?
Jarv.
For me, I try to I love mirroring the smaller guys. So I love Braden Point's a big one for me, and Mitch Marner. Those two, I just try to take whatever I can from their games and their video clips, just to try to help my own game out and push myself to another level.
The guy for me that I've started watching since I started, watching the NHL, I think Jarv knows already who it is Marchand. I just love his style of play, how he can do it all, and he's not afraid to throw some chirps out there too.
Hey, I'm a big fan
Same
of that.
nose too.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marchand.
He's got
too.
the same nose too.
Yeah, and I play just like Marchand out there on the ice. I'm dirty. I spear. I slash. I hit people on beer league hockey. I'm like 5 feet tall, and I run around just smashing people.
Do you lick people too or no?
Pardon me?
Are you licking people like Marchand or no?
No, I'm a germaphobe, so I don't like to do anything like that.
Any pregame meal or ritual, guys?
Pregame meal pretty much is anything that's put in front of me. I'm not too specific with that, but ritual, I love a good ice bath. That's one thing for me. I just love getting my body nice and cold and then warming it up until the game.
Yeah, for me, honestly, it's whatever my billets make. Obviously, pasta and chicken usually when I'm eating before games, but a lot of times before games, I'll have a coffee or two just to get me going.
Seth, what's the feeling of being drafted 11th overall in 2017 by the Winterhawks and taking back to that day?
Yeah, it was a big honor. It was awesome. We were trying out for our provincial team for the WHL Cup. Actually, when the draft was going on, so I was on the ice when I actually got drafted. So I didn't hear about it until probably about an hour or two later. But when I did hear about it, it was awesome. I checked my phone and I had probably 20 missed calls and texts from whether it be guys in the Portland organization or Mike Johnson himself. So it was cool. It was something that I'll remember forever, and I'm just really grateful to be in that organization.
And Reece, what's it feeling being drafted 53rd overall in 2016? Take me back to that day.
Yeah, obviously it's not a high pick like Jarv, but I mean, I was super stoked. When I first saw that, I went to Portland. I was like, where's Portland even? But Portland does a really good job of welcoming you and making you feel wanted there. So it was good. I'm glad I got picked in Portland. I've loved it, and I'm super excited to get back again next year.
This question's for both of you as well. Would you have a favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie? I mean, Happy Gilmore, if you would really count that as a sports movie, would be
Absolutely.
one. That's
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would probably be the first one that kind of comes to mind. That, or I love Blades of Glory with the figure
That's
skating.
what I was going to say, one of those two, but this is an episode, but I like The Last Dance. It's like the Jordan documentary. If you count that was pretty good.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was crazy, man. I knew how amazing he was, but not to that extent until you actually watch that.
Do you have a favorite sports quote?
Oh, honestly, like I've never really been like read into quotes or anything. Like there's obviously the ones that Gretzky said and stuff like that, but I couldn't pick out a favorite one.
Okay.
I got one. I grew up with it painted in my bedroom. I want to say Julius Erving said it. It was "Dare to be great." It's painted above my closet in my room, and I looked at it for 18 years, so that's one that's pretty cemented in my head.
What was the biggest jump to the dub for both of you?
I think the biggest jump for me was obviously the size and the speed, of the dub. Like playing a midget, there's guys big and 3 years older than you, but once you make that jump to the Western League, like there's guys like on our team, there's like Cody Glass, Kiefer Bellows, Chalowski, like just playing with those guys, honestly, I was just happy to open up the gate for them.
Yeah, for me, it was a lot to do with confidence. I think when you come in at 16, like me and Nui did, you're playing, you're starting wondering, I may not be that good, or I might not be ready for this. But I think when you gain that confidence in yourself and gain that confidence in the ability to play, I think that's when everything really starts to take off.
Take me back to your first goal in the WHL, if you remember it, both of you. And do you guys still have the puck?
Jarvis, you remember yours?
Yeah, it was the first game of the season, my 16-year-old year. We were playing in Seattle. Cross Hannes comes down. We're on a 2-on-1. He makes a nice fake. He slides. He goes to his backhand, throws it kind of backside. I'm on my one-timer. I just kind of put it up over the blocker, and was a little too excited to know what my celebration was. But that was my first one.
Right on. And you still got the puck?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
For me, with mine, I still have the puck too. It was against Everett. We were down like 4-0 the second period, and I was frustrated. 16-year-old it was a hard year, and I didn't have a goal yet, obviously. And like so I dropped the mitts. I tried, getting some energy for our team, getting into a fight. I got my tooth knocked out, and then it went into the third period, and there was like a minute shift, so like a minute left in the game, so they call it the graveyard shift. But I got a goal out there. I shot one over Carter Hart's shoulder, so it was pretty cool just to score one on him. Right
on. That's a good story, man. Who did you fight? Is that the Fairbrother fight?
Yeah, that's the one where I fell, if you've seen that.
Okay. Seth, you represented Canada at the U17s and the U18 Holinka. You had a great tourney there, man. I know you guys got the silver medal. Describe the feeling of putting on the uniform.
Yeah, it's something that it's hard to describe. I think no matter the level that you're playing at, whether it's U17, U18, or the World Juniors, I think the feeling never changes. Throwing that leaf over your chest and over your head. I think when you're out there and you realize you're playing for something bigger than yourself and bigger than just one organization, really a whole country. I think that it's a feeling that's hard to put into words, but something that I hope I can redo again this year.
Yeah, congrats on being named to the World Junior Camp as well, man. That's a huge accomplishment, and we really hope you have that uni on when we're watching on Boxing Day.
Thank you very much.
You guys both scored numerous big goals and highlight reel goals. Wow, which ones stick out to you, or does a single one stick out to you?
Jarvis, you want to go?
Really?
Okay, I'll
No,
go.
you got that.
Well, I have two there in the last year. There was like a game before Christmas this year against Everett. It was just like a lot of the time those games, there's a lot of guys checked out, ready to go for Christmas. But it was a big 2 points for us. We went into overtime, and Jarvis, I'm pretty sure it was Jarvis, passed it back to me, and I just came down, had a good screen, but I shot it, and then I threw the bow and arrow down the middle of the ice. It was pretty cool. But then another big one for me, probably the biggest, was playing in my hometown for the first time when I was 17. Jarvis, Duro, and I were on a line, and they're like before the game, like, "Hey, Nui, you're gonna get one this game." And then the first period, I got a good pass out front, and I got lucky with one. But it was nice to score that in front of my friends and family.
Right on. What's your go-to celly then?
Probably the bow and arrow. I think Jarvis seen me do that a couple times.
How about
yeah, for me it was Yeah, his bow and arrow comes out all the time in practice, so I get to see it a lot. But for me, I think when we went to Brandon as a 16-year-old, Newey threw one off my boot and just kind of kicked it in to the side of the net. But a couple of my friends and my family were there, so that was cool just to see them. That was my kind of first junior goal in front of them, which was pretty cool. And then I had one this year against Seattle that I thought was pretty nice. I don't know about everyone else, but I just kind of made a move to the middle and was able to put it over the goalie's shoulder. And that was something that kind of sticks with me a little bit this year.
A little lucky.
And what's your go-to celly, Seth?
My go-to celly, I don't know. I think depending on the moment, I think if it's a big goal, I go for the kind of tuck the weapon away guitar strum. But if it doesn't matter quite as much, if it's a little bit of a big game, just probably stick a finger up in the air or just not do anything at all and go find Newey and give him a hug.
If Jarvis scores, sometimes he doesn't have teammates. He'll just rip down the ice. No teammates.
Yeah, when you're scoring 40 goals, I guess you kind of run out of cellies.
Well, you get excited. Each one's like you're scoring your first.
Of course.
Hey,
of
what
course.
color is your stick tapes?
Mine, I use white tape. Newey's all over the map.
Yeah, I honestly, I'll come out the first period. I won't like my first period. I'll switch it up. Usually I start off with white, maybe like full blade with some puck marks, but then if I'm not liking it, I'll go to half tape with black. I'm all over the place with that.
Reece, you had a career year this year, putting up 65 points in 55 games. What would you say the changes or difference you made to your game?
I think this year, obviously Jarvis said, once you get in the league, building confidence is huge. And this year I kind of took on more of an older guy role. We had a young team, and I played the first half with Jake Reece, just a 20-year-old, and then from DeLorme. So, it was cool to play with them guys. And then, coming back in the second half, I went back on the line with Jarvis and Duro. So, just playing with guys that I'm familiar with also helped. And
you missed a couple games due to a bad laceration. That must have been scary at first.
Yeah. When you look down, you see your arm, when you see your bone in your arm, it was pretty scary. But, I was lucky that I wasn't out too long.
What happened there? What did someone just skate come up or what happened?
Yeah, so I kind of got caught up in between the bench and I fell. And then this guy, he's from Regina, he's a super good guy, Alex Liepert, but he skated over my arm and then it just cut open. And then, after the game when I was fine, I talked to him, he said sorry. So, it was kind of just a freak accident.
Right on.
That happened to Jake.
Damon Hunt had the same sort of thing happen to him.
Yeah, his was brutal. I saw it on his arm. It was bad.
Yeah, he was telling us, he's like, we had the white jerseys on. He's like, I looked down and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was Jake Neighbors' skate, I think.
I think it was Neighbors' skate. Seth, you had an amazing year, man. Finishing second in the dub, scoring 42 goals, 56 assists for 98 points in 58 games. What would you say the changes and differences you made in your game?
Yeah, I think coming back after a 16-year-old year, I think you obviously, like Newey said, had more confidence. I wanted to come in and make a big splash and make a big difference for the team. And I think I was with a lot of guys that really let me play my game and didn't I think when you're 16, you may be a little bit scared to make some mistakes, but I was with Newey a lot of the year, Duro, who I was with most of the year. And then I was also with O'Brien, a 16-year-old. So I was able to they let me play my game and let me really be creative with the puck. And I think when you feel confident in the game you play and how you play it, I think that's what really leads to big goals and a little bit bigger numbers. So I think coming into this year, my big goal was just to get a lot more comfortable with my game and being able to put it on the full effect.
You needed one more game, you would have hit that 100-point mark.
Yeah, I was looking to play Tri-City one more time at the end of the year, but unfortunately got cut short.
You were named the WHL's most sportsmanlike player, but twice this season you received a 10-minute misconduct, both times for a mouth guard. What happened there?
Yeah, that's a habit that Mike has yelled at me for in practice and stops kind of the whole practice for my mouth guard being on my mouth. But when that happened, the one I can really remember was in Lethbridge, and Newey actually got a misconduct right after I did. So he was out there with me in the dressing room and in the penalty box. But yeah, it's just something, that bad habit of chewing on a mouth guard. I see Patty Kane doing it all the time, so I wanted to be like him. But fortunately, I get a 10-minute for that.
I guess I should probably know this, but do you guys have to have? Is it mandatory now? Mouth guard's mandatory in junior hockey?
Yeah, they're making us now. Like our coach in practice is always harping on us for not having our mouth guards in, because obviously when you lose like a top player to a mouth guard, it's kind of dumb. Losing Jarvis for 20 minutes or 10 minutes in a game is like a big thing. Honestly, this year I was kind of surprised that I didn't get the sportsman like, hey, Jar.
Yeah, you really piped down on the refs, which helped everybody out.
You guys had an unreal squad, tons of leaders. It would have been nice to see where you guys would have finished the year had the COVID not happened, obviously. You winners of the Scotty Monroe Trophy again. Where do you guys get your hockey IQ and high-end skill from? Do you guys watch a lot of hockey?
Jarv? I can go. Yeah. I'll go, Jarv.
No, you got it. You were on your way.
All right. Well, I've always, loved hockey. So, I've always been watching, certain guys or, watching games. Even, throughout the year, I'm always watching WHL games. So, anything to get an advantage on a team, I kind of look at and watch. So, it's a big thing for me.
Yeah, for me, it was watching hockey again. But I think a big thing was I loved watching video and watching tendencies. I think our team watches a good amount of video throughout the year and before games, so I think we come in pretty prepared. So I think whenever you can find those weaknesses, I really like kind of using that video and putting it into a game and really finding whether it's taking a team, beating them down low or beating them off the rush. I think there's a lot of differences you can use through video and through stuff like that to really get an advantage.
Yeah, I think that with our team, the amount of video we watch in a year is probably the most in the league, and I think that's a big advantage with our team is, our coaches are always making us watch video of our opponent.
Hey, what would you find in your guys' playlist, or what songs do you hear before the game?
I know Ruben with Jarvie, he likes Sweet Escape. He's got a little ritual going there with the Sweet Escape. I'm surprised you didn't bring that up, Jarv.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani gets me in the zone and gets me going for a game. But with New, I always make sure I turn it down because I don't know what's coming out of his speaker.
Who's the DJ on the Winterhawks?
Gracious this year it was. He's always keeping up with the music.
Reece, I love your style of play, man. How you're always ready to stick up for a teammate or always in your face. I've seen a couple of your spirited bouts with Bowen Byram, Connor Zary, Gianni Fairbrother. What brings you to play that style?
Yeah, I know. I play hard during a game. I'm always talking. I think the odd time you maybe have to back it up versus just talking all the time. But I just play hard throughout the shift, and it's just emotions. But obviously when I fought Byram, it helps out our team too, taking a guy like that off the ice. So it's just a role I've kind of adapted to, and it's working for me.
But you like always playing against Byram and then fighting him as well?
Well, obviously he's a good player. He's a good guy too. But just when the guy's that good, you take him off the ice for 5 minutes. Maybe a goal happens or just energy for the team. It even doesn't have to be me, but when anyone fights a guy like that, or it brings energy to the team. And obviously fighting's not really my style of play, but maybe just being competitive, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely a good trade-off once in a while like that.
Yeah, we're big fans of Bo and Byram.
Reece, being drafted last year to the Islanders in the 5th round, what an accomplishment, man. Take me back to that day, and where were you?
I was in my backyard with a couple of my buddies. They wanted to come over. It was a big day. And towards the end of the draft, I was kind of uh-oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. But then, New York picked me in the 5th round, and I couldn't have gone to a better place. They treat me super good there. It's a super good organization, and I was super pumped to go there. And training camp and everything, they make you feel welcome, and I'm happy to be there.
Were you caught off guard, when the Islanders chose you, or had you talked to them quite a bit?
I didn't really talk to them that much. There was obviously teams I've talked to more, but, even talking to some guys that have been drafted before me, they said, you never know where you're going to go. And, when I got picked by Islanders, I was just glad to get picked. I'm pretty sure, Jar this year is going to experience the same thing pretty high.
Right. And the Islanders got a lot of good young players coming up too, and they still got Barzell, and he's a stud.
Yeah, he's watching guys like that at camp just shows you like when you think you're almost at the level, there's still guys that are just like elite like that you look up to and you want to play like them in the future.
How did you feel you did in your first camp?
I was definitely nervous, like the time change from Portland, it's like all across the world to New York. So like it's like 4 hours ahead, so your sleep schedule is off. But I think the nerves kind of helped me out there. When you're like I didn't really feel tired, but I thought the camp was good. Like the guys like that, they're super good. They're all men. Like the passes are harder. Everyone's skating faster. It's just like a whole new level.
Seth, what was it like playing in the Kubota Top Prospects game?
It was interesting. I think everything happened really quick. They kind of fly you in, and within 2 days you're playing one of the best games you'll play against all those top prospects. But it was a super cool experience. I met guys that I wouldn't meet otherwise playing in that game, and I think I think it was a cool experience, and it was something that I wish a lot of other people could try.
If a GM or scout were to ask, Seth, what do you bring to the table?
I bring a lot of compete. I think I get that a little bit from Nui. He's rubbed off on me in a good way for once, and so he brings a ton of compete to practice. And I think with him, his compete maybe overshadows the actual skill he has, which it's pretty crazy to see what he can do. But the compete's a big part, and then for me, my speed. I try to push the pace and try to really open up space for guys like Nui to showcase that skill and not always that chirping ability he has. But so speed. I love playing with skill. I love making plays, making those goals that maybe make you drop your jaw, or make you more entice the game of hockey and make it more exciting.
What do you think makes a good captain? Both.
Pardon?
You say pardon?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think makes a good captain?
Well, I think this year,
Nui?
the driver and I are both, but this year with Ludwig being our captain, just like a guy who's obviously competes in practice, doesn't let you off. Like he holds you accountable. Just like just a super good leader. Like he always showed up to play. He'd do anything for his teammates. Just a guy like that.
Yeah, I think Ludwig, if you were to make a captain, he'd be kind of what you'd come up with. I think someone that came up from playing junior B at 16 and really fighting his way into a dub lineup, and then ultimately getting drafted and signed, which is I was so happy for when that happened for him. But I think someone like that, where I faced him a lot of times in practice, a lot of battle drills, the coaches seemed to like me going against him. And he showed me really how strong and how tough he really was.
Have you spoken to many teams? I'm guessing you've talked to everyone, but
yeah, it's been it was pretty busy there for a little bit. Just teams maybe getting to know me, just because I kind of had a late little rise into the draft. I think I kind of kicked it on a little bit into the second half, so I think teams maybe didn't talk to me or whatnot and started talking to me again. But I had Zoom interviews with everybody but Boston actually. So it's been fun. It's been really cool. I've met a lot of NHL legends and NHL pros that I looked up to growing up.
Hey, how many people? What's the most people you've had on one of your Zooms?
I think the most would have been 15 or 18. I think they had most of their scouting staff, their GM, their coaches. So it was a little bit scary. I was getting questions from every kind of different angle.
I can't remember who we had on last, but
last night
somebody, and they were telling us 70.
Your Sea Dogs.
Wow.
I think it was Will Villeneuve from the St. John Sea Dogs, actually. But yeah, he said there was 70. I don't know what team it was, but that's pretty crazy.
Because to think like this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy with 3 screens, and I've seen 4 once, but to go to 70, I imagine how small you guys are. You can't even see who you are. Like.
With Darby's Wi-Fi there, I don't think he could do that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good chirps.
The leg and drive.
Is that a rainbow trout in the back there or what?
I was gonna say something, Jarvis. You catch that yourself?
Yeah, reeled it in myself and mounted up there too.
Good chirps. That's what I like to see.
This one's for both of you guys. Have you guys had any, obviously you last year, Reece, but Seth this year, have you guys had any like weird questions or like questions that stumped you guys?
For me, I kind of there's a few weird questions like what animal do you think you would be like if you weren't a human, and like would you save your mom or dad off a cliff if you had only picked one, just like stuff like that, which really makes you think like why would they ask that, but there's always reason for it.
Yeah, for me it was the same kind of thing. I think one was if I had one bullet in the gun, would I shoot my mom or my dad? That was one that was a little bit interesting. Or there was one, would I rather take $10 or pick $100 out of a public toilet? And that was a little bit interesting, but obviously the $100 because it's $90 more. But yeah, there's been a few questions that are a little bit weird.
Yeah, the thing with all those questions too, I feel is like there's no really wrong answer, right? It's just kind of like the player's opinion of the answer.
I think with New York too, with me being drafted there, I think Jarv obviously did this, but like they give out a questionnaire with probably like 100 questions. I think Jarv, you did that this year, I think.
Yeah, it was 280 questions.
Or yeah, like something. It's just insane. Like in the questions you got on there, I wish you could take a picture, but it's just crazy to see like what they want to see or whatever they want you to answer. It's cool to see.
Are they like multiple choice answered or just open ended?
It was multiple choice. There's like 4 options you can pick, and there's a couple math questions on there. I think Jarv struggled with those, but really questions.
Hey Seth, what advice have you received from former Portland Winterhawk and fellow Winnipeg native Cody Glass?
Yeah, Cody's been massive for me. He was someone that obviously went through the draft and went very high. So he's someone that I've shot multiple texts to, just asking questions. So he's been he's been big for me, just telling me just to stay true to yourself, and you don't want to deceive a team and show someone you're not be the person you are. So I think that was a big one for me, just staying true. And even if they're not, you're maybe not the person for them, that so be it. You're going to stay true to yourself and be the person you are. And there's no changing that. So that was big for me, just staying true to myself and really, really showing my best foot every time.
What's one word that would describe both of you?
I think for me, obviously like a big thing in hockey nowadays is being competitive. I just say like competitive. Obviously that's, if you're going to make it, like you got to be competitive. Just that, get that edge over the opponent and just, really, really strive.
Yeah, I'd use the same word for me. I think competitive. I think me and Nui have a little bit different styles of competitive. I think he's a little bit more in your face and letting you know that he's beating you. But I think I think I'm a little bit more sneaky competitive and just kind of go about my business. But I absolutely love Nui's version.
Yeah, Seth, we actually met you at the draft last year in Vancouver, and ever since that day, we've talked about it. Like, you were such a beauty off the ice and obviously on the ice too. So it's nice to have you on here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I have more questions still. Do you play for any fantasy sports? Both of you?
I haven't really been into any of that. I don't know if Jarv has, but I really never been into it. I mean, it'd probably be fun, to get a team or something like that going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a bunch of guys play fantasy football and stuff like that, but I don't have quite the attention span to pay attention to draft a full team and really keep up to date with that. I'm not that into football and that kind of that fantasy world. I'd prefer just watching it and watching the Super Bowl with all the guys.
Yeah.
Hey, being from Winnipeg, I'm guessing you've got to skate on a lake, obviously. Frozen?
Yeah, lakes are a big thing here. I grew up, actually, my house backs onto an outdoor rink. So that's where I learned to skate. That's where I learned to play hockey. And then obviously the lakes are unbelievable out here. It's just it's it's better than Moose Jaw for sure. I think living in Winnipeg, it's awesome out here, and just enjoying everything that comes with it.
You got to watch out for those mosquitoes in Moose Jaw.
Oh, goodness. Moose Jaw's actually unreal city. I don't know what Jarvis was saying. You know, he was here when we played Moose Jaw last year. He was like, man, like, I would maybe come live with you one summer. Like, I really like this place. So I don't know what he's saying right now.
Who are you guys' biggest influencers in your life?
For me, I think, you know, just both my parents, you know, they've worked hard just to put me into sports, and they've done everything they can for me to, you know, succeed in hockey. And obviously every time I do reach an accomplishment, I'm just happy to do that for them and just show them that I appreciate everything they've done for me.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. My parents are obviously massive. I think anytime you participate in sports, their parents are usually a big backbone of that. But for me, my biggest one would have been my brother. He's what kind of got me into hockey, and then just watching how hard he works. He's a skills trainer at the place I train, and he managed to balance school and still having a life outside of all that. So he's just someone that I've looked up to from a young age, and someone that I kind of aspire to be as a person.
What hobbies do you guys have? Are you a fisherman, Seth?
Yeah, if you can tell by that fish right there, I've been known to dominate the lakes and surrounding lakes of Winnipeg. So I like to partake in fishing, anything that can kind of get me outdoors. The mosquitoes aren't quite as bad as moose jaw. They're not the size of horse flies out here, but whenever I can get outside and get moving here, that's what I try to do.
I heard they're like little hummingbirds.
Yeah, they're everywhere, but they're definitely still better than wherever he's living.
Jarvis, you can't talk. That's last weekend. So stop talking about moose jaw like that when I'm bringing fish like that.
That's a nice pike. That's a nice pike. I remember being down in Whitby, Ontario. We were at lacrosse nationals, and we all went down. That was for Team BC. We just went down to the lake, and I remember there's a big pike just laying on top. So we pulled it out and ended up taking pictures, putting lacrosse ball in its mouth, and it was a monster. And that was the first time I'd seen a pike before, because obviously we're from BC. We don't have that here. So when I fish here, we're fishing rainbows or salmon, or that's about it. The odd lake here, we have some bass, but I don't really fish bass.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, I'd like to thank you guys both for taking your time for us today. We really appreciate it, and you guys are both going far in hockey. We can't wait to cheer you guys on for the rest of your guys' career.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. I know Seth and I both were excited to come, and it was super fun, so thank you guys. Appreciate it. I'm Reece Newkirk. I play in the Portland Winterhawks, and I'm on the I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Seth Jarvis. I play for the Portland Winterhawks, and I'm on the I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Hey, perfect.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
And we look forward to being fans of you guys for your whole careers. So,
are you guys coming to Vancouver this year, by the way? You
Yeah.
guys play the Giants in Vancouver?
Yeah, we play there.
Awesome.
we'll be there.
We will be there. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.